kind words. And I'm very thrilled and excited to be talking here at this forum. I was in Leiden for the ESDiT conference last fall, and I enjoyed it a lot. And let me share my screen. So I'm going to talk about toward an ethics of attention. Basically, and it's in kind of an overview and anatomy of the field, so to speak, on what we can think about, what questions are there, and what kind of topics remain to be investigated further within the broad field of ethics of attention. So here's the outline. I'm going to talk first about the concept of attention in Buddhist practice. I know that the previous two speakers, Peter and Sylvia, have talked about the Buddhist perspective, but I hope that my contribution kind of adds to what both Peter and Sylvia have already talked about. And then we are going to talk about the attention economy, which is the central topic of what we are concerned with when we discuss the ethics of attention, especially in the context of the social media and AI and the use of information trails and so on. And then how can we formulate an ethics of attention? I realized that in the literature there are some, not very many, but some works on the ethics of attention. They are using this very phrase, but perhaps we could see more perspectives, or as I said, more questions, more topics within this broad field. So that we have kind of a way of discussing this further, and could be an outline, an overview of works that remain to be done, so to speak. So first, let's pay attention on attention in the Buddhist practice. It's of central importance in the practice of Buddhism. I am a Buddhist practitioner. Peter is, but Peter said he gets up at 4 a.m., but I get up around 6, and I don't meditate every day. I should do that, but I'm quite lazy. But the idea is that there is the concept of attention and mindfulness, and when we look at the writings of Buddhist masters, and I have chosen the work of Yaneponika, a Burmese Buddhist monk who lived in the kind of the middle part of the 20th century. He has a lot to say about the concept of attention, which kind of gives us some perspective, and perhaps let us understand more about what the Buddhists think when they think about attention. And then attention also in controlling the body, speech, and mind. And here is an ancient Buddhist master, I think from the 7th century of the Common Era, around that time, in the medieval period, Shantideva from India, from Nalanda University. He has a very important work in the Mahayana tradition in Buddhism, the Guide to the Practice of Bodhisattvas. And he has a lot to say about attention also. So key aspect is that meditation is essential to wisdom, and attention is essential to meditation. Meditation is kind of practicing the skill of paying attention, so to speak. So As Peter has said, the Pali word, the Buddhist word for attention is manasikara. It translates into thinking or considering, and of course, paying attention. However, there's another important word, important concept in Buddhism, which is sati from Pali, which is usually translated as mindfulness. It's closely related, and perhaps literally it means to remember, to observe. So the two words are actually very close. Attention is what we is our attitude when we pay attention, when we focus on something, and sati is to remind oneself when our attention lapses, for example. Then we need sati. It means to remember, to observe, remember to pay attention. So it's recalling. It's the action of telling ourselves that right now our attention is failing, is falling. So we need to come back, to return to the action, the process of paying attention. So the two are really, really close to each other. So let us look at some quotation from Yanaponika. By the way, I will give you the title of the book from which this quotation is taken in the next slide. But let us look at what he has to say. He says, in ordinary life, if mindfulness or attention is directed to any object, it is rarely sustained long enough for the purpose of careful and factual observation. Generally, it is followed immediately by emotional reaction, discriminative thought, reflection, or purposeful action. In a life and thought governed by the Buddha's teaching to mindfulness or sati is mostly linked with clear comprehension, sampachanya, which usually is lumped, is put together with sati, of the right purpose or suitability of an action or other considerations. Thus, again, it is not viewed in itself, but to tap the actual and potential power of mindfulness, it is necessary to understand and deliberately cultivate it in its basic unalloyed form, which we shall call bare attention. And this concept of bare attention, for the interest of time, I'm not going to read this second paragraph. And you can see the title of the book and the website from which the book has been taken in the slide. But I would like to bring your attention to the concept of bare attention, which is what Buddhists or what meditators try to cultivate when they engage in the practice of meditation. So bare attention means you pay attention to the process of what is going on in your mind, but without directing any direction, without controlling the direction of your mind. So it's as if you are observing what is going on in your mind without being engaged in it, so to speak. So for example, you are watching your thought. Nobody can think the same topic all day, that's not possible. So we change the topics of our thinking, of our thoughts. And the process of meditation is not to eliminate all thoughts. That would be, not possible. We would become unconscious. But we are thinking. But instead of identifying ourselves with the thinking, we try to observe the thinking. We know, try to know through the action of sati, as I said earlier. We try to know what we are thinking of at this moment. And then when the topic of our thinking changes, we also know, because we this is the objective of the practice. We also know that now the object, the topic of our thinking also changes. So the focus is not on the thinking itself. The focus is on observing the thinking. That is what is called bare attention by Yanaponika. And I would like to contribute that this is what Buddhism kind of adds to our thinking, our discussion of attention, which is part of mindfulness practice and meditation and so on. So these quotes are from Shantideva. The Sanskrit title is Bodhisattva Charayavatara, Guide to the Practice of Bodhisattvas. And I think the really important verse is number 70 here, which says, a practitioner should be like someone carrying a jar of oil while under the scrutiny of a swordsman, careful of stumbling out of fear of death. So you have a really poignant picture of somebody who is really paying attention. You are now carrying a jar of oil, and the oil is full in the jar, and you have to be very careful when you carry the jar not to spill the oil, because you are being watched by swordsmen who will readily punish you if you spill the oil. So you have to be very careful to hold the jar. And this is a very clear, a very strong picture that can give us a sense of what Buddhists are being advised to do when they do the practice, when they do meditation. So this is very intense form of paying attention, while at the same time, you are not identifying yourself with the thoughts. You are engaging in the process, the practice of bare attention. So the two go on at the same time. Very intense process of paying attention, and at the same time is bare attention. So this is perhaps essentially what Buddhist meditation is all about. So this is from another teaching, the 4 pillars of mindfulness, which is mostly in the Theravada tradition. Mindfulness of the body, the feelings, the mind, and Dhamma, nature around us. So we pay attention to the movement of the body. For example, I'm sitting now, so when I practice, I am mindful. I know, I am aware that I am sitting now. So the direction of attention is turning back toward the body and toward the feelings. What kind of feelings? Is it too hot or too cold, or just right temperature, or with some other sense perception? And the mind, what I'm thinking about. That's we have said about this earlier, and the nature of all things, outside. So this is part of the practice that Buddhists engage in order to, get rid of suffering. So this is one way of understanding the ethics of attention. My idea is this: attention is good for us, and we should kind of find a way to cultivate more attention and perhaps better, kind of more refined or a better way of paying attention, because not only is good for us, individually, it's that's why it's part, as I propose, part of the ethics of attention. It's good for the community and society also. So we should cultivate bare attention. This very Buddhist form, but it's not only Buddhist. I mean, if you practice bare attention, it doesn't matter whether you become Buddhist or not, or you can be even irreligious. You don't need to to be to profess any religion, but you practice bare attention. It's not contradictory, because it will lead to eventual fulfillment of the goal, and that's Buddhist, because Buddhists practice in order to achieve the goal of getting rid of suffering, but it could be reinterpreted to satisfy fulfillment of other goals also, as is being done in other contexts outside of Buddhism. So another topic is about technology of attention. What I have in mind are the issue of ethical ramifications of the use of technology for attention. What I mean is this: there are now various apps on our mobile phones which are supposed to help with our meditation practice. So free meditation apps worthy of your attention, right? And there are a number of them. You can look them up on either Google Store or the iPhone Store and so on. My question here, I have tried to use some of these apps, and some of them are quite useful, and they give some form of teaching so that we have basic understanding of of the theory and basic practice how to do meditation. But my question is whether it's appropriate or ethical, perhaps ethical is too strong, to use technology to aid in meditation. What I have in mind is this: meditation is a very private practice. I mean, what you practice and the result that is supposed to occur through the practice is for you only. It's individual practice. You have to really do something. But if there is a kind of technology that help you, it could be okay. But if the technology is too strong, and it might be possible in the future where the technology just provides you with the fruit of meditation without you engaging in the practice, would that be good? On the one hand, it might be good. I can achieve the result of meditation without really doing meditation. But on the other hand, it seems like we are too dependent of technology. So this is the topic I myself am thinking at the moment as part of this broad topic of the ethics of attention. So we all know about the attention economy, so we can just go fast here. Social media, commodification, we know all these keywords, scattering attention as a result of social media use, so much information, so little time, and so on. So all these are all ethical issues that we need to pay attention, of course. And there are some works in the literature on this topic. Of course, this work by Shoshana Zuboff. Quality of attention is also part of the ethics of attention, because it's not only that we pay attention. I mean, compulsive gambler, they pay a lot of attention on their gambling, but we don't see that their quality, I mean, their attention is of, positive quality. So we need to distinguish, find a way to distinguish the quality of attention among the various kinds of attention according to quality. So on social media, the mind may appear to be attentive, but in fact, it could be scattered. Somebody is glued to her phone, but her attention actually is scattered because there are so many things on her phone. A good example is that of a musician. A good example of what I believe to be quality attention is that of a musician who's attentively playing a difficult piece. The totality of her mind and body is directed toward the music, totally wrapped in concentration. The body becoming one with the music. So the music moves, but it's the one whole unit. You are. We can imagine a good violinist. So the body, the violin, the music becoming one. That's an example. So we need to find ways to encourage more good quality of attention. And perhaps my suggestion is that the Buddhist practice that we have just talked about, discussed earlier, can perhaps help. Some books, popular books on the effects of scattered minds and lack of attention. So to wrap things up, I would like to present kind of an anatomy of the ethics of attention. What parts are there when we dissect the field of ethics of attention, look at its anatomy, so that we know what is there and what remains to be done. Is it good to have a special kind of attention like the Buddhist one, the Buddhist bare attention that I have talked about earlier? I mean, Buddhists believe this to be good, of course, but is it really good? Could be a topic. And what's wrong? Of course, I think we all agree it's wrong, because it's reducing human being and human freedom to just play things of the social media and of these corporations. And there are harmful effects of scattered attention, or perhaps too much attention, as in the gambler's case that I just mentioned. What would be the best theory? And this is perhaps a task mostly for philosophers. What would be the best ethical theory to deal with these ethical problems regarding attention? So these questions are intended to kind of provide an overview of the field, and I have searched the literature in philosophy, which is my field, on attention. It not too many, only some, but the field can benefit from further research in the area. How can ancient traditions such as Buddhism and others help with the problem of attention deficit? Does technology such as the mindfulness apps that we have seen earlier help with the problem of attention deficit and other problems regarding attention? How much can we rely on technology to solve our personal problems such as lack of attention, or using technology to cultivate bare attention? We also need to distinguish, as I said, between good kinds and bad kinds of attention. Or can we divide attention to be good and bad in this seemingly black and white dichotomous way? it's just beginning of a question. And then there is the topic of philosophical analysis of the concept of attention. And I remember that Sylvia talked earlier about the thoughts of Simone Weil and Iris Murdoch. And here's a quote from Simone Weil, which I like a lot, which is particularly suitable for the closing part of our talk. Attention consists of suspending our thought, leaving it detached, empty, and ready to be penetrated by the object. So, yeah, it would be fruitful to compare Weil's idea and perhaps Murdoch's ideas on attention with a Buddhist perspective. And I would like to end with this statement that good life could be enabled through attention, which good life, of course, is a perennial topic of ethics. So I stop here. Thank you very much.